She would never. I feel like that might be out of Maomao's scope. She's like, she's ruining my reputation. Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kaylee and I'm back today for another episode of Apothecary Diaries. Last episode felt like a real turning point in season 2 because we got more information about Jinshi and his true identity. And it was kind of a toss-up coming out of season 1 whether he was the Emperor's brother or the Emperor's son. We had the story about the babies being swapped, and then we obviously saw the moments between Jinshi and concubine Ado. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It kind of feels like after last episode we now can say that he is the Emperor's son. Whether or not the Emperor knows that, not sure, but it feels like we've kind of locked in that information unless I'm misinterpreting something. It kind of feels like we're moving toward a moment where Maomao finds out the truth about him, because he worries a lot about that in the beginning of last episode. Even talks about how it would be a relief for her to find out, which I think is also really interesting. But I think his connection with Maomao is so unique for him and something he doesn't have with a lot of people. So the idea that he would be able to kind of drop the facade and be who he really is with her is probably something he would welcome. And also, she's got quite a high level of discretion. Like, she does not seem like somebody who would go around telling everybody if she learned this information. So he might feel like she's a safe person for him if his identity were to be revealed to her. But he also knows that eventually she will find it out on her own, because she's a curious one. I also think it's so funny that all Maomao does is like lie to herself. Like at the end of last episode, we saw her questioning who he really is based on the experience in the choosing shrine. And then she's like, but I don't really care. Some things are better left unknown, but she's going to think about it. Like, we know Maomao, she's definitely going to think about it. She's definitely going to try to do her own little mental investigation. And she's constantly talking and thinking about him and like what his identity is and who he is and how beautiful he is. I just think after everything she saw at the choosing shrine, after him being directly addressed at the end of the episode by the old man that kind of oversees the shrine, the teacher, he was addressed essentially in a very similar way that the Emperor was addressed about potential issues if he were to bring someone outside of the bloodline into the bloodline. And knowing Maomao, she's not just gonna be like, it's not my business, and walk away. Like, I don't even think she's capable of that, so we'll see where that goes. It makes me wonder though, because the Emperor was obviously kind of throwing a lot of little jokes and jabs to tease Jinshi, but I do wonder what the process would be if Jinshi were to want to take somebody like Maomao and marry her or have her as a concubine or whatever the process would be. I do wonder if that's even like a viable option, or what he knows about the potential of that, because he's obviously obsessed with Maomao. It kind of shifted from like subtle teasing and jokes into something that was a little bit more serious, and like, hey, if this is something you're considering, make sure you're careful because people feel this way about it. So it poses an interesting potential question for maybe something that could happen down the line, but who knows. If you want to stick around through this season of Apothecary Diaries, go ahead and hit subscribe. The uncut version of this reaction is over on Patreon, so I'll put that link in the description box below if you want to check that out. And now let's jump into episode 8 of season 2 of Apothecary Diaries. No.
そのうち本屋様に部屋を追い出されて物置小屋に移されちゃうわよ。それはいいですね。そうと決まれば急ぎましょう。
Of course, she would love that idea.
ちょっと
I did know deep down that there's no way they did that without her wanting to be out there, because they just love her too much. Like, they really, I feel like, love and appreciate her here in the Jade Pavilion. So that's so funny. She's so happy.
ここに薬草を干して、ここで跳躍をして、ここはあれで、あれはここで。だから言ったじゃないですか。意味ないって。それはそうと。
This should not surprise them.
虫を集めるのはやめてよね。虫？私が集めているのはトカゲの尻尾ですが。本当に？でも変な女官が笑いながら虫を捕まえているって噂になってるわよ。そんなことはしていません。確かに仕事で顔を集めて。It's
definitely Shisui because they're essentially the same. Yeah.
これは由々しき事態である。
She's like, she's ruining my reputation.
はいそう止水最近見かけた止水ねあの子神出鬼没だからな止水見たような見てないようなどこにいたの教えてよ詳しいお話次第ではこれを差し上げるんですけど
No.
使え血が出ているぞ
No, don't give it away. Oh, they know.
ご想像にお任せします聞いた話だと北の雑木林によくいるそうだけど確か前にもこの辺であったなお気に入りの場所なんだろうか小さい頃はよく妓女たちとおしろい花の種を取りに行ったんだよな中の粉をおしろいとして使うためじゃなくて堕胎剤を作るために、
Dark.
シンは当初香をつけていなかったそんなシンが香をつけてまで堕胎剤を作ろうとしたそれはおそらく何も玉葉様だけが皇帝の寵愛を受けているわけではないリファ様が妊娠している可能性も十分にある
Oh. Oh, that's right. I feel like we learned that because she was wearing the high dresses.
薬の知識のないシンに毒の作り方を教えた人間
Right.
おそらくその人物はまだ高級内に
Oh.
なのと一緒にされていたなんて心外だな
To be fair, maomao acts just like that when it's like a mushroom. So.
止水
Uh-uh.
いると
No.
その虫を捕まえようとしたの相当虫が好きなんだなこの虫は東方の島国に生息している虫で羽を合わせて音を鳴らすんだよ
Oh my
多分
god.
交易品の中にあったやつが逃げたんだろうね
I love that Maomao is getting to experience what it's like to talk to Maomao about some things, right? Like, she's the one attacking other people with, like, this mushroom and this herb and this, that, whatever. And now she's experiencing it firsthand. I love this.
聞かなきゃよかった何の音だ
Oh?
あれは確か皇太后様昨年の園遊会で見かけたけど本当に若いな診療所に行くのかな診療所うん女官たちがやってる非公式の診療所なんだけどそれは知ってるあれ皇太后様が作ったんだって
Oh.
皇太后様が優しい方なんだよね皇太后様は
Oh. She has a lot of information.
宦官や奴隷の制度が禁止になったのも皇太后様の口添えがあったんだって人道的な面を思えば奴隷廃止はいいことだろう
I like how she talks about it. Like, it's like a business proposal. It's like, yeah, I guess it would make sense to ban slaves. She's so, like, practical without bringing emotional ties into it. It's just very interesting.
だが牛馬のように扱われる奴隷はともかく妓女のように自分の身を担保に借金をする場合雇用に近い合法として扱われる表向きは廃止された奴隷制度だが名前を変えて今も存在しているのは周知の事実だ、皇太后様が診療所に向かっているのは先日の水晶宮の一件と何か関係があるのだろうか、皇太后様が乗り出すなら高級の医療体制に改革が起こるかもしれないそんな話ならぜひ聞きたいが
Oh no.
やっぱ帰る
Smart
最近怒らせて
decision.
ばかりだからな他の侍女たちもダメ出しを食らっている
いつもより念入りに誇り一つ残さないでね
なんだ誰か来るのか皇太后様だった
体に変わりはなくて
皇太后様は玉葉様の妊娠をご存知なのかそれだけ信頼されてるってことか
You know it's important when Maomao is forced to wear makeup.
嫁姑というよりは少し年の離れた友人のような雰囲気だな
No. And take off her freckles.
確か人種のもとより手配された次女よね
睡蓮から聞いたの。しごきがいのある子が高級に戻ったって。睡蓮は昔私の次女をしていたのよ。
Oh my goodness, I love
なる
that.
ほど。あの食えない次女と皇太后は窮地の中だったのか。
安氏様、申し訳ありませんが、リンリーが疲れたようなので寝かしつけてきてもよろしいでしょうか。ええ、いいわよ。さあ、そこにおかけなさい。
はい。
I feel like normally I would be nervous if Mao Mao was like positioned to be alone with somebody like this, but I feel like she might be a really like nice, genuine, valuable person. So let's see where this goes.
いろいろな問題ごとを解決しているそうね。
私は自分が持っている知識の中で状況に当てはまるものを提示しているだけです。
それでもいいわ。
Oh, wait, now I'm kind of nervous.
わかる範囲でいいの。
Oh, okay, no. This is
調
good.
べてもらいたいのよ。私は先の帝に呪いをかけたのかしら。
What? I feel like that might be out of Mao Mao's scope. Like, I'm not sure how well she would be able to determine that.
呪いか。そんな風に思っても仕方ないのかもしれない。先の帝について正直いい話は聞いたことがない。愚帝、バカ殿、女帝の傀儡。高級内で一番有名なのはロリコンだろうか。しかし選定は妙齢の女官が数多くいる中で。
Oh, that's so true, because that one really young concubine that's there now, wasn't she also a concubine of the previous emperor? Which is
一
insane.
番幼い娘にばかり手を出していた。皇太后様の腹には傷がある。今の帝を出産される際、まだ体が育ちきっていなかった皇太后様は腹を切るしかなかったのだ。そしてその出産を手伝うためにわざわざ宦官にさせられたのが不幸な我が親父ルオーメンだ。
Oh my
そんな犠
goodness.
牲を払ったためか元帝は元気に育ち、皇太后様はその後王帝を出産した。出産した時の皇太后様はみそじ前。とうに少女とは言えない年齢だ。王帝は本当に選定の
Oh, here we go.
うわ、こんなこと口にしたら打ち首にされかねない。
I thought she figured it out for a second, but she, like, this is way quicker than I anticipated for her to just start piecing these little things together. And it's also interesting because it's like she learned the whole story of the baby swap and all that went down with that, and she knows who those people were respectively. So I just think it's interesting. She's seen a lot. Like, I feel like she has all the pieces. It's just the moment that she puts it together that we're waiting for. So
数日後、皇太后様が茶会という形で上級妃4人が集まる場を設けてくれた。
茶会までまだ時間がありますのでお休みになってください。
ええ、そうさせてもらうわ。
皇太后様どういうおつもりかしら。高級の外でお茶会だなんて。
高級の外といっても内廷よ。主上様のお住まいじゃない。
だから余計緊張するの。普段入らないようなとこよ。
I feel like this is a good
変
thing.
身してるのは皇太后様もご存知なのに、どうして今。玉葉様の妊娠は公然の秘密だが、面と向かっての茶会であればあからさまな探りを入れられることもある。ただリファ妃はあえて自分に飛び火するような質問はしないだろう。リーシュ妃が言うとすれば次女にそそのかされた場合だが、元毒味役の次女頭が出しゃばるとは思えない。あるとすればローラン妃。服装が派手なこと以外不思議なほど噂が回ってこない。
Are we actually gonna hear her like have an interaction with other people? Because I still feel like we don't know anything about Lolan. So
なんでしょうか。
今日の毒味は私がするわ。そういう流れってわかるわね。
皇太后様が用意した席では毒味役をつけないということで信頼していることを示すってことか。
また何か問題を持ち込まれているの？
私は先の帝に呪いをかけたのかしら。できればもっと違う場所で話をしたいわ。
玉葉様を裏切るような真
She
似は
would
しないで
never.
ちょうだいね。
That's just something you don't even have to
敵に回したく
question
はあ
with
りません
Maomao, I feel like.
本にゃん様やはり玉葉様の次女頭なだけある。
今の高級ができる前はここが高級として機能していました。
そうなんですか。
先へは入れません。この先は掃除のものも入室を許可されておりませんので。
なんだこの匂い。この部屋は
先の帝の時代、女官から下級の妃になった方が住んでいた場所です。女帝と呼ばれた方の部屋であり、先帝が育まれた場所でもあり、
Oh my
見まから
goodness.
れた場所でもあります。晩年、先帝と女帝と呼ばれた母君はあの部屋にこもることが多くなりました。
失礼ですが、お若かったわけではありませんよね。
天寿を全うされたと言ってもいいお年でした。
ではなぜ皇太后様は呪いだと。
私が呪ったの。いなくなればいいと。ずっとマイオのごとく思っていたわ。
何か呪いがかかったという根拠はあるのですか。
玉抜けされた先帝のお体は1年間霊廟にて安置されます。翌年、主上と安子様は先帝を埋葬するためご遺体をご覧になったのですが、ご遺体は亡くなられた時とほぼ同じ姿で残っていたのです。
それで安子様はご自身が先帝に呪いをかけたと。
はい。
なるほどね。
Yeah, no, she might have
霊
cursed
廟
that
は
man.
夏でも涼しいが、遺体は氷漬けにでもしない限り人は皆土に帰る。天上人も農民も同じだ。生まれた立場が違ってもそれだけは平等なのだ。
それまでに調べてもらいたいのです。
わかりました。ただし一つお願いがあります。
お願い？
She's gonna ask them to dig up the body. Okay, we're just getting closer and closer to Maomao putting all of the pieces together. However, I did love learning more about the Empress Dowager because she seems so genuine. Learning about how she founded the clinic, she just seems like a true public servant in her role, and it reminds me so much of Jinshi, who's just like, yeah, obviously we're gonna build a school for court women and servants to learn and like get an education and increase their skills. And it just feels like those types of efforts really come naturally to him. So I wonder if he did pick that up from her, being around her and seeing that mindset that she is said to have had could have had that effect on him. Again, I feel like Maomao has all of the pieces of the puzzle, right? She knows the baby swapping story. She knows that the emperor is said to have a brother. She knows that that would have made the Empress Dowager 30. She knows that she kind of knows the status of all the people involved in the baby swapping incident. And she knows that Jinshi was at the choosing shrine and the vibe felt like he was somebody important who was there and was taking the situation very seriously. And she knows that he was addressed by the man that oversees the shrine as somebody who is important. Again, I feel like she's just got all of the info and now she's just got to put it all together. And I think this specific case will definitely help her. I just feel like Jinshi's inner monologue from last episode is setting us up for that moment when she figures it out. I am actually quite interested in what Maomao's request is going to be. I have a feeling it's going to be like, let's exhume the body so that I can investigate it or look at it. I'm obviously assuming that it's going to be something other than a curse, right? Like I don't think the answer is going to be that he was cursed, but I think Maomao is going to want to look and make that determination herself. And I feel like that's going to be an incredibly weird request. So I also wonder how and if Jinshi gets involved in this case, because he typically does, regardless of if he's the one asking for her to investigate or if it's a separate issue that he kind of finds himself involved in. I just wonder if he will become involved, and if so, how that will go with her and the Empress Dowager all kind of in this one situation. I'm also hoping that they show us clips of this tea party because I'm so interested to see the interactions between all of the concubines and the Empress Dowager. I'm also interested to see if we get any sort of like, I don't know, look at concubine Lolan interacting with the others, because I feel like we still haven't seen her in a super public setting, or I guess social setting. And I'm also interested in what piece of the puzzle Shisui played or what role in the story she has, because she keeps coming up and it does feel a bit different than how Xiaolon is part of the story, right? Like Xiaolon is part of the story, I think, to show a different side to Maomao and to be somebody that Maomao can connect with outside of her specific role. Obviously, she was kind of the first friend in person that Maomao had that was introduced in the Rear Palace. And I feel like Shisui plays just a different role. Like we know a lot more about her in terms of like, we know what her interests are. We know that she's very similar to Maomao and a lot of the things that she's interested in and likes to do. And now we have this kind of like funny subplot of people mistaking Shisui for Maomao because they both have very similar tendencies. And I love the moment that Shisui is just hopping around trying to catch bugs and Maomao is like, this is the person they're comparing me to. Like, yes, girl, that is you to a T. I'm interested. I think there's a bigger storyline around her and maybe a role that she can help play and kind of connecting the dots potentially with the information that she has. So I guess we'll see where that goes. But thank you so much for watching. If you want to stick around through this season of Apothecary Diaries, go ahead and hit subscribe. The uncut version of this reaction is over on Patreon, so if you want to check that out, the link is in the description box below. And I'll see you guys next week for another episode of Apothecary Diaries. Bye.